Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS review video for the 2022 ZOZO Championship. I'm going to recap the golf tournament, and then I'll go over everything I did in the preview and strategy video to see what went right and where we can improve. And like always, you can find timestamps in the description below. You can also find them on YouTube's progress bar. All you gotta do is hover over the progress bar. You'll see them there. This way it allows you to see everything I'll be covering and also skip to whatever part of the video by a click of the mouse. So very, very simple there. I want to start the review with some giveaways. As y'all know, I do a subscriber giveaway. We had to reach a goal in order for me to run this giveaway, and unfortunately we didn't reach it. We're trying to get to 250 subscribers, just came on the screen. And if you look all the way to the left there, the goal, we're at 249 out of 250. So unfortunately, not running the giveaway this week, but next week, just to ensure we're going to do this, I'm going to up that giveaway amount to $20. Again, to get a free entry into this giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed and comment on any of the videos leading up into the review video. So super simple. And again, I'll up it to $20 next week just because we have a bunch of people still waiting. Like I've said before, I'll throw it on the screen. Your entry doesn't go away until we hit our goal, until a winner is picked. So everybody who has participated, all of your all of your entries are saved here. And again, all it does, click of this, and a random person is going to be picked. Again, just an easy thing to do on the Google Sheets. We'll run it this way. Again, we just need one more subscriber. So by next week, we just need the one. And if you're worried that your chances aren't good, we only have like 35 people, 35 entries. So your chances, in my opinion, for doing something free are still good to win $20. So again, that's all you got to do. Sign up, or not sign up, I'm sorry, subscribe, and then comment on next week's videos. The preview, the strategy, and the prize picks video. All three of those videos get you an entry into that giveaway. I'm gonna actually include one more. So I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but let me go ahead and bring the thumbnail back up. Can you see by Hideki's left hand, it says message here, your message here. I keep forgetting to do this during review videos, but that message is a custom message for you guys if you guys want to participate. So in this review video, give me a, let me throw that logo off. Should have known that was going to happen. Give me a clever message and I will post it throughout all of my thumbnails next week. It'll be that little hidden message. It'll be fun for all of us. Just throw it in the comment section below. Keep it golf related, keep it safe. We don't need to see raunchy stuff, but if you want to put an innuendo in there, totally fine by me. You'll get a free entry. I'll add you to this spreadsheet right here, right down below, and it'll be a review video. You know, the YouTube video will be review. Give me a fun message to include at the Bermuda Championships or for that thumbnail. And again, we will all get to enjoy it. It'll be our fun way to participate. Okay. The other giveaway that we do, prize picks giveaway. $20 if you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot when you sign up with prize picks, that is, and put a minimum deposit of $20 in. Let me throw that back on the screen. We do have a prize picks giveaway. One person signed up, and I said this during the preview and the strategy video. If you sign up, you're probably going to be the only person. It's going to be a free $20. So Brian Lynch, you signed up a little earlier. I think you signed up sometime in September, but you finally did a deposit. You're the only person. So if I hit this, boom, Brian Lynch, you are a winner. If you want to claim those $20, all you got to do, contact me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Tell me where you'd like me to send the money. I can do PayPal, I can do Venmo, I can do Google Pay. I don't have anything Apple related, so Apple Pay is probably not going to be an option for me. I don't know, but probably not. Either way, contact me, sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Again, tell me where you'd like to send that. We've had 2 past winners. Mr. Gabriel Brown, we got you your money last week. Matthew Martin, we're still waiting for you to redeem yours. Again, contact me, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Tell me where you'd like to send those $20. But yeah, that's simple. I also have a link in the description to Prize Picks. So if you're watching this now, go ahead, click on the link, sign up if you haven't signed up with Prize Picks yet, and get into the into the giveaway. Again, your entry will not go away. So if we had several people here, once I call one guy, I'll just remove him from the list, and all the rest of the guys will be available for the next week. So again, do not, don't feel afraid to enter. That's all I have for giveaways. So again, you can get into the subscriber giveaway easy. Leave a message that you'd like to put on the thumbnail. Keep it clever. I'd love to see. I'm gonna pick the most clever one. You're not gonna get any extra points, but you'll get a free entry into the subscriber giveaway. Again, just increasing your chances of winning $20 next week. Okay. Thank you guys for going through this with me. Let's go ahead. Let's get into this video. Let's get into the recap. And really what I want to do, I'm going to put a filter on this spreadsheet and remove whatever I have. Let's talk about the top 10 of this tournament. As you all recall, or as you all know, the sweet spot process works off of the top 10 in this tournament. So I don't really care to talk about anyone else. There were some disappointments like Will Zalatoris. There were more I can't think of off the top of my head, but either way, I only care about the top 10. And the top 10 was kind of large because a bunch of people tied for 7th place. So what typically is 10 people inside the top 10 becomes 14 people inside the top 10. Hideki Matsuyama is your winner. To me, that was no surprise. So the first thing that I got right this week was Hideki. You needed either Hideki, Colin Morikawa, or Xander Schauffele. Schauffele was the other guy that was a disappointment. So Matsuyama, Morikawa, or Schauffele, they were going to be in the optimal lineup. So I gave you a 33% chance of getting the right answer. Why those 3 guys? Well, we needed a 10K golfer, and all of the buckets that were lining up were pointing towards these 3 golfers. One of these 3 golfers. So obviously we got Matsuyama right. I played him probably in 50% of my lineups. So overall, my point totals were great on DraftKings, but I played a lot of winner take alls, and I didn't quite have the perfect lineups or the correct lineups to win in any of those. If we would have ended Saturday's tournament, if we would have ended the tournament on Saturday, well, after the 3rd round, I would have been up a little bit of money, but instead I returned 50% of my investment. So it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a complete lost week. I didn't put a lot of money into it, so it's all good. Not a huge loss there. It wasn't a tournament to really invest a lot of money into, so not terrible. I will say this though, Prize Picks for me was fantastic. If you followed my Wednesday video, I gave you a lot of good pointers that I used and won a decent amount of money. Overall, throughout the week, I was up. More on Prize Picks than I was down on DraftKings. So it's a fun way to hedge. An easier way to play fantasy is through Prize Picks. But either way, Hideki Matsuyama, your winner. If you recall, this tournament was played. It is played in Japan. His home event. Hideki on bent grass greens, hard conditions. He's your man. He ended up winning this tournament at 15 under, as you can see on the screen right now, 2022 results. 2nd place, Brendan Steele at 10 under, as well as Cameron Tringali. And if you're with me during the preview video, we kind of talked about this because Tiger and Hideki in 2020 were kind of outliers. If you look at everybody else, 13 under was where you kind of wanted to get to. So as long as we were north of 13 under, we knew we were in business. We knew this wasn't a birdie fest by any means. This tournament this year was a little bit more challenging. Weather played a huge factor into it, and I mean, in 2020, there was heavy rains leading up into the tournament, so everything was soft. This week we didn't have, or this year we didn't have a lot of those rains. It did rain, I think, on Saturday's event, but it didn't soften the course as it did in 2020. So we kind of, like in that preview video, as we looked, and you, if you remember, and if you don't, go and watch. As I was looking at like target score and past results, I was like, you know, we probably want to get to 20 under, and then I started looking at it and I'm like, oh wait, no, most of our scores are 10 under or worse. So it was more of a grinded out fest, and that really lent itself to Hideki Matsuyama. He excels in these types of tournaments. I mean, this is also in Japan. He's definitely one that plays well when it is in Japan. 2020 and 2022, those were years it was played in Japan. 2021, because of COVID, was played in Las Vegas. So load up Matsuyama at the ZOZO Championship. I mean, we'll see. I think if I, analyze the buckets once again, Hideki's going to be in all the buckets for next year, having a top 20 at this event. And as long as he plays at the CJ Cup the week before and finishes somewhat decent, he's going to be in those buckets, as well. So I really like Hideki Matsuyama. An easy pick. I know a lot of people, game theory, you're trying to get away from a high owned guy. This is why I don't do ownership. I don't care for ownership. The optimal lineup when we get there doesn't matter about ownership either. Yeah, I get it. Leverage. Totally understand. But I'm also trying to pick the winner. And you're not going to pick the winner by picking leverage. You're just leveraging against other players that are selecting golfers on their teams. That's your only upside. But if you want to win, pick winners. I know that's simple, easier said than done, but honestly, Hideki Matsuyama, it was an easy pick. Some of these other guys were kind of interesting. If you were with me in the preview and strategy video, you knew I liked Sebastian Munoz. You knew I liked Cameron Tringali. Didn't really have, the feelings for Griffin, Bradley. I also kind of talked poorly about Takumi Kanaya. Although he rated pretty decent in the sweet spot model, I still just didn't trust him because I thought there were better golfers in this field. Luke List was kind of a surprise. He had a really good Sunday. Tommy Fleetwood was kind of a surprise to me. I thought he just hasn't been playing the greatest. Recently he has been, don't get me wrong, but like over the last 2 months, not so much. Colin Morikawa, he had a really bad Thursday, but was able to grind it out Friday, Saturday. I mean, he had some good scores. In fact, why don't I just pull that up? Instead of like going through that, we can look at the scores that we had here. So we were just talking about Colin Morikawa. Kind of a rough Thursday. It wasn't terrible, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he kind of came back, helped his case a little bit. Hopefully you were able to, the easiest one was Prize Picks on Thursday had scores way too low for projections. I picked most of my overs, and I actually won with the pick that I selected on the Prize Picks video. That I won my 10x multiplier there. So again, hopefully you tailed that. I had Morikawa with an over because I think he was slated to be 67.5, which was like 3 under. And if you looked at the results that we were looking at, if you divide these by 4, these scores by 4, or we had it here. If you divide these scores by 4, that's like 2 under, 2.5 under, stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, Colin Morikawa, definitely good enough to do that. The thing is, not all rounds are going to be, 2.5 under. And I know that's not a real number, but like 2 under to 3 under, they're not all going to be that way. You're going to have some fluctuation. You'll have something like 70, let's put it this way, anywhere between 1 under to 2 over. Then you're going to have something around like 4 under to 6 under. It just depends on how the day is going for some of these golfers, but your better golfers over time will shoot lower scores, but they're still going to have 1 or 2 rounds that are a little high. So long explanation, because Colin Morikawa shot a 71 in Thursday's round on DraftKings or on Prize Picks, I hit the unders with everything else because they immediately reacted to it and made the scoring more, I mean, their projections were closer to par. So yeah, Morikawa under on Friday's round. I think he was projected at like 68.5 or even 69. Yeah, hit the under. Round 3, I think it was even worse. I think it was like 69. Hit the under. And then he was projected for 69 on Sunday's round. He shot 69. So if you're unfamiliar with that, it just gets pushed. It changes your whatever pick you have. So if you did a 5 pick, it changes from 5 pick to a 4 pick. And vice versa. So either way, he didn't hurt you. But if you, again, these are the things on Prize Picks, easy to pay attention to and easy to win money on. I don't really have anything else to say about the rest of the top 10. We'll get more into it. But let me just open this back up so when we come back to it, we'll have more to talk about. Here is where I want to go into the optimal lineup versus the $5 GPP winning lineup. I'm going to hide these columns here. Just know that they're off weeks. We only look really at 5 weeks of actual tournaments in the recent form because I only look back at the last 8 weeks. But this is where I keep, you know, an easier way to show you guys the optimal versus the $5. So optimal, or let's go with the $5 GPP winning lineup first. It scored 532 points. It used up all 50,000 of the salary. As you recall, I always say these in the preview and strategy videos. Don't leave a lot of money on the table. Even me chasing the optimal lineup, as you can see on the screen already, what the optimal lineup salary was used, I'm not going to leave a lot of money off the table or on the table because some of it's just unrealistic. There's no way of getting there. At least not with today's stats, not with the data that we're using. Too difficult. So the winner used up 50,000. All the golfers highlighted in blue right here are part of that $5 GPP winning lineup. And they used Hideki Matsuyama, Sebastian Munoz, Matt Wallace, Mackenzie Hughes, Sam Ryder, and KH Lee. So they used a 10K, 2 8Ks, a 7K. Let's do that over. They used a 10K, Matsuyama, a 9K in Hughes, 8.7 in KH Lee, 8,000 even with Matt Wallace, 7.3 Munoz, and 6.7 Sam Ryder. So that was a really good pick. Ryder was kind of a little higher on my list of golfers in the 6K range to use. So good on you for finding those lineups. Again, 532. Now the optimal lineup, all the little black tick marks here next to the cells of the names, they're part of the optimal lineup. Used up 48,600, scored 576. So we have a 44-point difference between GPP winning lineup and optimal lineup. Those golfers were Hideki Matsuyama, 10K, Brendan Steele 7, Cameron Tringali 9, Sebastian Munoz 7, Matt Wallace 8. So just to recap those 5, that's a 10, a 9, an 8, 2 7s, and now a 6 with Sam Ryder. That's exactly what I said in the preview video. This was kind of the basic lineup. This is your traditional build of doing a 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. And I think that's what we saw in 2021 as well as 2020. 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 7, which it's not terrible. You know, it's close. There was one 7K. We had 10, 9, 7, 7, 7, 6. So no 8K there, but I did mention that a lot of these are really close where you can substitute one of these with an 8K. Can't do that. Can't remember what we ended up doing to get to the 8K. Or to get an 8K. Either way, don't need to spend that much time, you know, going through that. So yeah, that worked out well, but it left $1,400 on the table, which isn't what I aim for. I think I put it this way. I've done it where I've left tons of money on the table because the data for certain tournaments proves that to be true, where DraftKings gets pricing wrong, or it's a tournament that the higher ups don't really care about, or it's a really weak field where really the top and the bottom, there's not much difference between them. So you can really get a lot of the lower guys to match a lot of the top, you know, salary guys. It's too difficult to chase leaving money on the table. You open up way more different permutations of lineups. Like it switches from like maybe tens of thousands of lineups you can build to like millions of lineups that you can build if you leave money on the table. If you keep it capped at a certain range, you limit the amount of lineups you can create, and more often than not, you're going to be in that sweet spot of winning GPPs. Again, this GPP used all 50,000. So what I end up doing is I do a realistic lineup where I try to get over 49,000, whatever the best lineup over $49,000 spent on DraftKings. So I got to 49.8. That realistic scored 574.5. Just to remind you, the optimal scored 576. So 1.5 points separates the optimal versus the realistic, and using a little bit more money. So all we really do is we switch from Sam Ryder to Luke List. But we have all of the other 5 golfers that were in the optimal lineup. And again, it's a 1.5 point difference. We'd be using no 6K golfers and just 3 7s, an 8, a 9, and a 10. So that was one way you could have built lineups to get there. But if you were going to use a 6K golfer, really, I mean, you still could have won if you went to like Chan Kim, which I kind of bad-mouthed during the strategy video because my optimizer selected him. I'm like, I'm not going to play Chan Kim. James Hahn was a guy actually that I wanted to play, but this one there was 13 points difference, whereas Chan Kim there's only like 8.5 points. So anyways, that's your optimal versus the $5. Hopefully you guys did well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at the bucket system, but what I will do, actually, hold on. Let's look into SweetSpot rank, and then we'll get into the marquee tee times, and then we'll get into the bucket system. So as I filter this, my number 1 ranked guy was Xander Schauffele. He was a big disappointment. Finished 28th place. Mark Howell was my second guy. He finished 7th, not terrible. My third guy was Hideki. He finished 1st. And like I said, you needed one of these 3 guys. I had projected one of these 3 guys was going to be in the optimal lineup. We got it with Hideki Matsuyama. In my top 20, I've said this before, I want at least 4 guys to be in the optimal lineup. So for me, what it shows me when I only see 2 with Hideki Matsuyama and Cameron Tringali, remember the little black tick marks here. My scoring isn't where I want it to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the guys that showed up inside the top 10 were random, and there's really no accounting for that. I don't think you can find all of the absolute answers by looking at data, but at some point, you know, like certain golfers that we just don't know anything about, I think if we knew anything about them, we could probably come to some conclusions or some answers that, hey, they're worth a play. Either way, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. Like that's not what I'm trying to do here. It's one of those things that it bothers me because I think there's a code to be broken, you know, to crack. So inside the top 3 of my rankings, I'm glad 1 person finished in the optimal lineup and 1 person won the tournament. So that's great. Will Zalatoris 4th, one of the bigger disappointments. Joaquin Niemann, another big disappointment. Had a really good Thursday. I mean, it was looking good. And then just, I don't know what happened Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but it was bad. Fleetwood was pretty consistent. Saturday, Sunday, I mean, I was fully anticipating him kind of faltering at the end. I thought he was just going to have a blow-up Sunday like he typically does. Kept it strong. Shot 70. Finished inside the top 10. That was good. I'm not going to talk about the rest of these guys. You can find 3 inside that $5 GPP winning lineup. But this was my top 20. From Maverick McNeely up to Xander Schauffele. So a little disappointing, but it's fine. And as you recall, I use a SweetSpot Score to find the marquee tee times. So let me sort by the game number, basically their group number, and go from here and talk it out. So if the group collectively, their SweetSpot rank was under a specific number, I always call it the 2/3 rule, or the Guru Nick line, as I like to call it, because he's the one that kind of came up with it. It's 3/4, or it's 2/3, I'm sorry. 2/3 of what the field number is. There's 78 golfers in this. If you multiply by 2, divide by 3, or multiply by 66%, you can get a number close to 52. So if those three numbers were under 52 combined, I highlighted them green. So if I come down here, these three highlighted, that's 48. I mean, if you combine them, the combined score is 48. So it's under 52. So it gets this dark green number. And I only do this because these are your good golfers that are paired up together. And I did also talk about this in the strategy video, because if I filter by color and only look at my top, or look at each group, there are only 3 groups in the Marquee Tee Times. That's it, only 3. Usually I see somewhere between 5 to 8. So only 3, limited field. And I had said if I remove this filter, actually, how about this? Let's take the filter off. No, we got to put the filter back on. As I said, like if we went back up to Cameron Tringali was 7th in my ranking. 7th. He was in the optimal lineup, and he was in the realistic optimal lineup. He finished 2nd place. You see, he's paired with 2 guys who aren't ranked very well. We know more about Brandon Hagee than we do Yuki Inamori. Sorry. So, all by himself, Brandon Hagee removes this group from any possibilities of being talked about. But Cameron Tringali as a golfer is just a good golfer. And remember, these guys are paired up Thursday, Friday, so it's not like Saturday, Sunday's rounds really matter to the tee time pairings. It's just getting off to a good start. And obviously, Cameron Tringali got off to a great start, 67, 66. Those are really good numbers. Same with Brendan Steele, 66, 68. His group, not very good. What I meant to get to with all of this is we usually saw like one guy ranked inside the top 10 and the rest of the guys not very good at all. And like you see that more often than not, like Fleetwood. So Keegan Bradley was 19th on my, that's pretty good. But then Naoki Katioka, like, what do you do with that? Like, if you are in a group and one of the guys you don't really know, sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. But if this guy, say he golfs really poorly, that's going to affect you. So it's really difficult to, I shouldn't say it's going to, it can. It can do a lot of harm if someone is playing poorly and has a really bad attitude. A la Bubba, a la Bryson, those guys, whenever they get down in the dumps, you can see some of the other players in their groups are just like, what the heck? Like, it's difficult to play with. So anyways, a lot of this happened. So that's why we didn't have a lot of Marquee Tee Times, which was extremely difficult to gauge because I didn't know how relevant any of these Marquee Tee Times were. That's why I kind of got on, like, don't pair up Hideki and Xander together. Don't, my big rule was don't combine 2 guys in the same group. So if you did like any of these guys in this group here, the Xander, Hideki, CT Pan lineup, you can pair them with someone from here or someone from here. It's totally fine. But don't do that. And if you did that, it would have saved you, a headache or two, because Xander did not play up to his standards, up to the standards we had for him. Carlos Ortiz did withdraw, so you didn't get many points from him. And nobody else in the Marquee Tee Time pairings. We only had 1, but we only had 3 groups. Usually I want to see at least 2. So when it comes to like gauging how successful this was, very difficult to do because we didn't have a full gambit of players. And if I go to my secondary Marquee Tee Time pairings, that's what you see on the screen. That's what this light green color is. Still didn't really show us anything. A bunch of top 20s, a couple top 10s. That's really good, but really nothing to brag about. One last thing to talk about to do with the sweet spot rank is I went over in my prize picks video my favorite golfers this week. I go by salary. I pick 3 in the 10, 3 in the 9, 3 in the 8, 3 in the 7, 3 in the 6. So hopefully what I'd like to see is a bunch of optimal lineup golfers. So in the 10K range, we have 1, Hideki Matsuyama. In the 9K range, we have one, Cameron Tringali. We did not get Matt Wallace in the 8K range. Our 8K range was bad, and I didn't like the 8K range. I think I mentioned as much in the preview and the strategy video, so this one didn't go that great. In the 7K range, we got Sebastian Munoz. So we got 3 golfers from the optimal lineup. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any of the other 7K golfers. That kind of stunk. But our 7K was pretty strong. 18th, 4th, 18th. That's pretty good. 6K, not great, but oh my goodness. If you look, Troy Merritt scored decent points, 60.5, 68, 68, 68. Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Saturday comes around, 76. And I mean, that's Troy Merritt's skill level, right? He can score really low, but then he's going to have a blow up hole or two or whatever, a blow up round that just kind of takes him out of contention. So, bummer there. Could have, I mean, this was a tournament where placement points were a big deal. You definitely wanted as many placement points as you could get. Obviously, first and second, you need it on your team if you wanted to win any money. But yeah, the picks, pretty darn good. I have no complaints whatsoever. This was kind of how I intended it to be. Let me filter this out. Let's just bring up the top 10. And I'm going to let you guys, here's what I would suggest. Screenshot whatever that I'm going to show you. You can screenshot this. This is our top 10, or this is the top 10 of the ZOZO Championship. Compare that to the buckets. So I'll go over this. And again, I think that's probably the best way to do it, because then you can pause, you can look at my projections. If you want to validate it, you don't have to. I can go over this really quickly. But I don't want to spend, time going through all of these and then highlighting them as I used to do. I'm not going to go throughout this list and cross things off. What I'm going to do is just tell you all but one bucket hit. So I'm only looking at these columns here. This bucket right here, the last week ones, I was projecting somewhere between 2 to 4, and we had only 1 show up inside the top 10. So this one was the only one that busted. The rest of the buckets hit. And let me explain that. So again, I'll go here, screenshot this if you'd like. Here's how I determine if these are successful or not. As you can see in the optimal lineups, nothing, the success rate for that wasn't very good. I wasn't anticipating it to be, because we had 2 years of data prior to this. So very difficult to gauge. Like, there's no way you can really normalize that data, especially when this tournament was established in 2019. Way too hard. So for me, the optimal lineup stuff I knew was going to fail, especially when you have like 4 out of 4. Like, you have a 4 min, a 4 max of one bucket. Yeah, we're projecting somewhere between 3 to 6. So obviously we can get to 4, but that's a really lofty goal to try to get to 4. Same applies with this 4 to 5. Like, that's just, it's going to happen. It's going to fail. Same with the 4 or 4 down here with the recent forms. But here's how I gauge this. Some of these, so again, this is your minimum projection, basically. Move the decimal place over 2 spots. So this would read 1.05, but we always round down in this bucket. So this will be 1. And we always round up in this bucket. This would be 2. So we're looking for 1 to 2 last year 2s. If I go to the spreadsheet and we look, we've got 1, we've got 2. Perfect. But some of the buckets, when you go through them, there's going to be more than what you see. Here's how I determine to highlight this green. So let's say last week 3s. I think there were a bunch of last. There. 1, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. Here's a good example. So there's 6 last week 3s. If we go to last week 3 and we take a look, we're projecting somewhere between 2 to 4. So 6, way more than 4. That is way more than 4 if you look at the, just the numbers itself. Why did I mark this green and not red? Because it's over the projection, right? Well, wrong. We want to look at how many are in the optimal lineup. So taking a look at this, you've got Sam Ryder, there's 1. Let's do that. 1. We have Matt Wallace, there's 2. And Brennan Steele, that's 3. So when we take a look at our projections, we're looking somewhere between 2 to 4. The optimal lineups didn't go over that projection, so this is highlighted green. That's how I do this. That's how I look at it to determine whether it's red or green. So yeah, these projections, all but one bucket hit. And again, pause this video, obviously with the screenshot you just did, look at all of the buckets that I have on here, whether, you know, the minimum hit, which these would be zeros. This would be a 1, I believe. This would be a 0. All but one bucket hit. And how many did we actually have? I'm sorry. I should have known that. I should have done this. 30. So 29 out of 30 buckets hit. Which is a huge success, in my opinion. Over the last 3 weeks, we've only missed out on 2 buckets. So I think it was, what was it, like 56 out of 57 last week. So we add 30 to that number. So we're at 87. We're 85 out of 87. Like, the buckets just are fantastic. They work really well. As long as you understand the terminology that I use and understand the projections that go with it. If you don't, you can always email me. I'm always available. You can ask anybody who, well, you wouldn't know anybody, but you can ask the community of those who do reach out. I get back to you guys pretty quickly. So the week as a whole was a success. I'm up money with DraftKings. Well, I was down money with DraftKings, but I was up more on Prize Picks to make a profitable weekend. The buckets hit, which was fantastic. Told you we wanted Hideki, Xander, or Morikawa. One of those guys was going to be the optimal lineup. That hit. Gosh, I can't think of the other things that really I called out and either missed out on. I don't know. You guys, if you remember in the strategy or the preview, and if you want to ask me a question, leave comments there. Definitely answer those. But yeah, overall, pretty good week. Next week, we have a very similar tournament, the Bermuda Championship, where there's only 2 years of data for that. And I actually don't have salary data for the first year that tournament was played. So really, it's going to be difficult to determine anything with optimal lineups because we only have 1 year of salaries, and you need salaries in order to understand optimal lineups. No normalized data there, obviously, so that's unfortunate. But we can still look at the buckets. We can look at the strength of field, which I'm sure is going to be pretty bad. And we'll figure it out. We'll check out the buckets. Again, there's 2 years. It's going to be the exact same as this. Because this only had 2 years of data prior to this year. So it's going to be kind of a replica a little bit. So anyways, that's really all I have for you guys. So pretty short, 37 minutes. It's going to be 38 once I hit thank you and stuff like that. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know how you did. Hopefully it was good. And if not, let's hit it next week. All right. See you later. Bye.